So if someone ran a business for 20 or 30 years and now they spend most of their time in Florida and they've got a manager in place to run things, that's a great opportunity, right? I mean, doesn't the manager just take care of the business? Well, not really. Hey there, everyone. It's David Barnett from davidcbarnett.com, the blog site, YouTube channel, iTunes, and SoundCloud podcast, where I talk about buying, selling, financing, and managing small and medium-sized business. And this week, I want to talk about owner-run businesses that have then become managed or professionally managed businesses with owners that live away down in Florida, for example, for most of the year. Because the question or topic has literally come up 3 different times in the last week from different people that I've been speaking to about different projects. And so here's the scenario. Somebody sets up and starts running a business, let's say some kind of workshop, machine shop type of thing. And they run it for a long time, 30, 40 years. And they groom a manager who then starts running the day-to-day so that the owner can essentially do a semi-retirement, go down to Florida for most of the year, and talk with them on the phone a couple times a week and look at some reports and things, and he manages the business. Now, when he finally decides to sell the business, along comes you, and he says, look, I've already got a manager in place. It runs itself. I only talk to him a little bit. You don't even have to go in the business. It runs itself. So for a lot of buyers who maybe don't have a lot of experience in a given industry, this kind of scenario seems like it's, nirvana. It's the thing that you're looking for, a business that already runs itself. But the reality is that it's not quite as good as what it seems, because you, especially if you're not from the industry, do not have the same skill set that the seller has had to develop. And it's a skill set that is really hard to notice. But here's what happens. Because the current owner has decades of experience in a certain industry, then they understand what to be looking for in the business. They know what to talk to the manager about, and they know how to interpret the different reports and numbers that the manager sends to them, because they understand the business inside and out. You will not have this degree of understanding. So what I like to do is compare, as I've done before on this channel, with big companies. So you can own a restaurant, independent restaurant, and you can also own a franchise. But there are other restaurants out there which are chain restaurants. So for example, Olive Garden is a chain. So the Olive Garden company owns a bunch of restaurants all over the United States, and they have managers in each of them. But that's not all. Each manager is not on an island independently just making decisions about what's going to happen in that business. Regionally, they would have a regional manager who would be looking at what the managers are doing and would be observing what's going on in the restaurants, looking at the numbers to make sure they're being managed correctly. Okay, so it's not just having the manager in place, it's also the entire apparatus of systems and data to see what the manager is doing and make sure that the manager is doing a good job. And that's the part that a lot of business buyers don't see when they see a business that doesn't seem to be taking any of the owner's time, is that there needs to be a mechanism for observing and managing what the manager is doing. And that can be very difficult to build, especially if you're not from that industry. So it's not quite as great an opportunity as it might seem. I would rather see people buy a business and get in there and learn how to run it themselves, and then be able to step back and work with a manager if their desire is not to run the day-to-day of the business, because you need to have an understanding of what's going on. You need to have an understanding of what numbers you need to be watching and what the different trends can tell you. So my buddy Rick, for example, who's been a guest on this channel before, he owns a couple of restaurants. It's only because he's been in the restaurant trade now for like 20 years, and he's also worked, for example, with a franchisor, that he's got able to run his restaurants with managers, because he's able to set up systems where they have to fill in numbers, and he is able to interpret those numbers. Now, even with managers in place, he still spends several hours a week in each location with his eyes open, looking for the things that employees and managers often don't notice. So he has to maintain the standards in his businesses, just like the the franchise representative for McDonald's has to go in and inspect the different McDonald's franchisees to make sure that the local operators are maintaining the standard that McDonald's is supposed to be kept at. So I just wanted to make a little video about that because it's something that in all three cases, these prospective buyers hadn't really thought about. All they thought is that they would be able to own the business and that this manager would magically be able to keep running things. And I didn't even, begin to get to the point where we start talking about what happens when managers quit, because they do. People are not property. They have their own direction in life. And sometimes the manager who's been running the business very well for its current owner decides that they don't want to do it anymore and they leave. Anyway, if you are interested in buying a business of your own, then you should head on over to businessbuyeradvantage.com, because that is where I will show you my program. It's a 4-step program now about education, training, coaching, and guidance, how to find, negotiate for, finance, etc., a small or medium-sized business. And my new group coaching program, the Business Buyer Adventure, is coming along really well. We've got a whole bunch of people that joined over the launch weekend, and the special founders deal is still going on where you can lock in savings of 20% forever, whether you choose the monthly or annual billing. And so I'm going to put the discount code for that founders deal right down here. And if you are watching in the present, you'll be able to sign up for that and save yourself some money. And if you're watching deep into the future, well, the link will still work. It just probably won't give you the discount. And with that, I'll say goodbye. And if you haven't already, don't forget, sign up for my email list at davidcbarnett.com. Don't forget to click subscribe and share and like the video if you find it useful. It's one of the simplest things we can do to help people avoid bad deals is by having them find my channel, where I warn buyers and sellers about all the potential bad things that might happen in a small business buy-sell transaction. And with that, I'll say cheers, have a great weekend, start enjoying that beautiful summer weather. Bye.